Okay, welcome to audio PowerPoint number 1 for vocational and career counseling. Uh, these audio PowerPoints should take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, and this is the first one that sort of introduces you to the course. It's being provided here on the beginning of the second week. The purpose of the course, in a nutshell, is to become knowledgeable and skilled in assisting others' career evolution. Those others would be students, clients, people you're consulting with, etc., to help them with their vocational and career evolution. And by the way, one big point that's worth mentioning at least a couple times is by career, we are talking about a person's overall lifestyle, including the job or vocation. The second point is that objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. You've seen that on your side view mirror of cars. And analogously, concepts in this course may be more interesting than you thought. And the reason I say that is it seems like many students approach this course with some trepidation, thinking it's going to be dry, and it ends up being often more interesting than they thought, and I hope you experience that too. So what you'll explore and get exposed to in this course is the history of vocational counseling going back about 100 some years. Of course, we're talking about in the United States only. You'll learn about career development theories and models and techniques, how technology is used to generate data to help people figure out what they want to do or what they can and want to do with their lives. You also learn about how to do career and vocational oriented interviews and use career inventories or assessment tools that help people get in touch with not only what they're interested in, but what they're good at, what their aptitudes are, their skills, their values, etc. All these things matter. Obviously somebody could be interested in a particular job and not particularly skilled at that kind of thing. That's why I'm not in the National Basketball Association right now. I made it through college only, but wasn't good enough for the NBA. So I'm adjusting to the reality that I'm not an NBA star. And anyway, also, you'll learn about career development in different professional contexts. And by that we mean schools and agencies, private practices, in businesses, and so forth. And then lastly, we'll look at using career development differentially with different kinds of clients. There's a lot more to the course, but those are the basic ideas. So who's in this course? I should say. Future psychotherapists and counseling psychologists, folks that are in student affairs and will be moving into higher ed, and lots of different roles within higher ed, some of which will involve vocational counseling of sorts. Human relations majors, school counselors, and others who are at present non-degree seeking but are interested in educational psychology in general. So that's who's in the course right now. There's 20 people in the course as of today. How we operate, it's an 8-week streamlined course, and the course has been generated in such a way that the assignments hopefully should feel well organized, clear, and relevant. We hope you felt that way at the end of week 1 and moving forward. We take pride in trying to organize the online experience so that it's pretty efficiently delivered without a whole lot of glitches, but things always go wrong, so let me know when you're running into some concerns. Oh, and by the way, if you have technological issues, immediately after trying to fix it for 2 minutes, let a little buzzer go off in your mind that 2 minutes is enough, and if you can't figure it out, call the e-learning folks. They're there 24/7. NAU has invested a lot of money in helping you succeed in online courses, so don't waste time. Sorry about that. Don't waste time trying to fix things yourself if you've really made a legitimate effort. Just lean on the folks at e-learning. So an overview of the course. So each week there'll be readings from the text, the handouts, and then assignments like quizzes, discussions. Quizzes cover most of the chapter content. Discussions about the chapter content that you'll post in BBLearn. Projects, including personal career development projects that we'll go over in more detail. And then lastly, a career exploration group. Those are the main assignments in the class. There's no final exam per se. It's just a series of quizzes and then these other projects. The career exploration group is something that's kind of cool. We developed a few years ago. And it's basically designed to help you get in touch with other people in the class and to talk about interesting concepts in a small group that relate to your own personal career development and the process of helping others with their own career development evolution. So you'll be interacting regarding career development themes that'll hopefully be fun to talk about. What do you talk about there, or how? The discussions are semi-structured, guided, with instructions provided for the facilitators. There'll be groups of 4 or so with rotating leadership. And by leading, we just mean facilitating. And just to clear up roles, if there's 4 people in a group, facilitator number 1 will facilitate the first week, facilitator number 2 the second week, etc., etc. But the facilitator is still really an active participant in the group. They're not just trying to get others to talk with each other. They're a facilitator / member. So I want to make sure that's clear. So in other words, you're a member when not leading the group. And you'll be connecting via Google Hangouts at a time that you all arrange together. You'll be connected this week in order to do so. The PCDs, these personal career development projects, are 6 of them are on the smallish side, and then the 7th one is very comprehensive. So what we're trying to do is get you actively engaged in the material, various aspects of career development. And these PCDs do correspond, for the most part, with the readings and handouts for that particular week. PCD 7, again, is the comprehensive multi-week project that starts in a few weeks, in which you'll be working with typically a classmate, and you'll be functioning as their quote-unquote career counselor and putting them through a series of steps, some of which have involved things they've done previously in the class. And then vice versa, you'll switch. The counselor becomes the client becomes the counselor, so you each have a chance to connect with each other mutually and get experience at something like a career counselor role. So again, it's a career development discussion with a classmate, usually by phone, though in person is preferable if you're in the same city. If you're both in Phoenix and want to get together, it makes it a lot more fun. Go to somewhere, a remote part of a coffee shop, and you can do this in the corner, and that would be even more fun. So you can sort of get to know each other a little bit. And phone is the second option. Okay, so how does this course matter? Well, I don't know. We don't know exactly where you're going in the future, but it depends how you use it and the future context you'll use it in. For school counselors, the big 3 elements of a school counselor's role, according to the ASCA model, the current model that guides all of American school counseling, or American professional counseling, includes personal, academic, and career foci, and career, of course, is what's being discussed here. So school counselors will be helping kids with their personal, academic, and career development. This course is mostly going to focus on their career development. Future psychotherapists, those of you in counseling psych and in the clinical mental health program, therapy often involves the client's overall lifestyle and discussions about what's going on at work. So there's a frequent sort of overlapping Venn diagram of personal and career themes that psychotherapists get into. And you'll need to have skills and knowledge and theoretical foundation to deal with people and their career evolution as you talk even about their depression or anxiety and social phobia and stuff like that. So it certainly ties in there. In higher ed, career development is a huge part of many higher ed careers that involve total student development, like the Chickering model, etc. So it's certainly, this course matters to folks in higher ed. Human relations, it depends on the work context, because that's a very flexible degree that can go in many different directions, but often it involves managing others. This should say CD, or career development, or helping to assist them in their development. And by the way, many counseling psychologists across this country, and even clinical mental health counselors, work in university counseling centers and do career counseling, or they work in career centers to focus explicitly on career counseling and not personal psychotherapy. So it should, oops, sorry about that. It should relate to all of you in one way or another, all of your futures in one way or another. Just a tiny little dab of related to the overlap between counseling theories and career development. Freud talked about the cornerstones of humanness being love and work, people who have satisfactory love, life, and friendship and so forth, and are pretty satisfied in their doing, or their work components tend to be fairly non-neurotic or fairly satisfied. Adler talked about big 3 life tasks a long time ago, including occupation, and that includes not just what you do to make money, that includes volunteering, what you do with advocacy to help the planet become a better place, etc. So occupation, think broadly about that. Love and sex is another big life task, and then the social component, or just relationships with others. So again, Adler's point is, if you got these 3 going on in a healthy, satisfying way, you're probably, sorry about that, I gotta stop being so loose with the mouse here. Sorry about that. So again, Adler's point, these 3, if they're intact, pretty happy person. And beyond just the practical knowledge and skills of this course, some of you will need this course for the National Counseling Exam. That's the clinical mental health counselors. 1/8 of the National Counseling Exam involves career development components, roughly 1/8. And if you were to not take the course seriously and fail that section, you fail the whole exam and have to wait 6 months to take it again. Not a whole lot of fun. So you might want to prioritize this course along with the other 7 domains, and don't skip it even if it's not interesting to you. You'll still have to need it for licensure and have to pass this exam for licensure. Same for those moving into counseling psych and maybe even school psych who will need to pass the EPPP. That should have another P on there. So a little bit about my background. Just got a few minutes left here. Grew up in New Jersey, about 35 miles from New York City. My dad worked at Rutgers University, major state university in New Jersey, and had a fully intact family with 3 boys. I was the youngest of 3. Still am the youngest of 3, I guess. And very much an educator family. My mom was a teacher of talented and gifted kids, 5th grade usually. And my dad was director of admissions at Rutgers, and then he got sick, and his lifestyle had to change because the director of admissions role was very, very, very stressful. So after he had heart problems, he switched to become a career counselor. And then for about the last 15 years of his career, he was helping students figure out what they wanted to do, what they wanted to major in, helping them get jobs as they, setting up senior career professional days, etc. And this was the job he particularly loved when he looks back at his whole career. So obviously this apple didn't fall from the tree in that way. And I kind of listened to him talk about how much fun he had at work, and I think I perked up just hearing about how interesting his job was. And I often, I think early on, realized I wanted to do something in psychology and psychotherapy. So I ended up doing a lot of career counseling as well, but mostly psychotherapy for me. Then I did an internship my last year of grad school at a university counseling center at University of Central Florida, and that involved a heck of a lot of personal/career counseling. So I had to use a lot of those career counseling theories and techniques, as well as personal counseling theories and techniques. Then for a long time I did agency and private practice counseling that involved personal career stuff. And then I became a counseling center director. A little bit more about that. That was in Germany. I ran the University of Maryland's counseling center. This was an international campus near Stuttgart, Germany, and this was for 2 full years. And it was fascinating. Had very much an international clientele. Students were between 19 and 30 typically, and they were literally from all over the world. Many from Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Asia, Africa, and of course the United States, because it was it's an American university's international branch campus, but it was fascinating. And in the process, I did personal counseling exclusively at times, career counseling exclusively at times, or often both combined, where a kid would come in and want to talk about what's going on personally, but also talk about their major and where they want to head in the future, and sort of career fantasies and so forth. And so, in terms of what I did with them, I did interviews, which were semi-structured, often very existential, talked about who they wanted to be, what's their purpose in life, or purposes in life, and so forth. So an interview combined with existential themes, cognitive themes, and so forth. And then the university allowed me to buy 2 inventories. So I chose an interest inventory and a personality inventory. And both worked very, very well. The strong interest inventory, which you'll get exposure to in this course, just helps people get in touch with their top interests using Holland's RIASEC model, which you'll get into in this second week, as well as other concepts as well. The strong interest inventory is one of the leading interest inventories in the country, so it's worth getting to know. The personality assessment tool I used was the Myers-Briggs type indicator, and we looked at the nexus between personality and career. So, in other words, a kid might, or 20-year-old would come in and sort of figure out they're extroverted and intuitive, and prefer or have a preference for cognitive judgment and decision making as opposed to emotional decision making. And we would look at, well, okay, what does that lead to? What are people who with that kind of personality often successful in doing in a career? And so between the interests and the personality inventories, kids would often walk away after 2 or 3 sessions of just looking at the assessments with a much better sense of what their options were, and sort of a clearing of the fog about where they were going in the near future. So it was a lot of fun. I helped a lot of 20-somethings click into who they were, what they wanted to do with their life and stuff. And of course that can evolve and change over time, but I think it helps them initially get clear out and deselect some things that are not interesting and focus on the things that are interesting and they are skillful at, and how that aligns with their personality. So that was a lot of fun. It was a great job. Since then, did the same kind of thing in Orlando, often for 1 year, I should say, with the welfare to work clients. This was that mid-90s Bill Clinton program along with the Republican Congress, in which people had 2 years to participate in welfare. And in that 2-year period, the government invested a lot of money around the country in vocational counseling and career and personal counseling, as well as job interview skills, resume writing, role plays and stuff. It's a very, very super comprehensive program, and I was a small cog in that wheel in Orlando in helping clients with their personal and career concerns. And one other thing I just wanted to mention that I've done in Arizona was do some non-traditional career fair research. In other words, we measured a bunch of kids, by kids I mean middle schoolers, interests in variety of careers before they were exposed to non-traditional careers. So this was in Yuma, and we had busloads of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls, especially coming in from all over the county, who then watched for a half a day demonstrations by people who are in non-traditional careers. What I mean by that is the Department of Labor Statistics suggests that most nurses are by far still female, so they would watch a 20-minute demonstration and engage with a male nurse or a female water treatment specialist, a female border patrol agent, and so forth. And we just measured that difference from pre to post and found some interesting things, and probably would do it differently if we had to redo it again. This got published in the school counseling journal, Professional School Counseling, in 2006, if you want to take a look at that. So in summary, I hope that the course is interesting and professionally useful for you, that the group meetings are fun and stimulating. You can have a lot of fun with those, but try to stay reasonably on task, please. There is a set of instructions, and the idea is to get talking sort of in the middle of the bullseye of what the week's topics are. So just as suggestions for success are to start early each week and to keep up and take time, take breaks, be thorough, find balance, go work out, eat well, drink water, and don't start all your work on Saturday at 10 p.m. and try to get it in by Sunday at midnight. If you can do it earlier in the week, space it out. That's obviously probably going to work a lot better. So my sort of takeaway message for the future for you would be, wouldn't it be cool if you became an instrument to help others get in tune with themselves in terms of who they are, what they stand for, what matters, and how that can play out vocationally, avocationally, career-wise, etc. That's kind of what the course is about. Thank you.